I'm using the EOS 5D Mark III Canon camera with the 24 to 105 millimeter standard lens, the f4 lens. I'm going to do a test on the size of the picture. I'm using the large, medium, and S1 format on the Canon camera. Set up my custom knobs on the camera. My custom settings, C1, C2, and C3, with those three different sizes, and everything else remained the same on the camera. For my test, I attended the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum's 145th birthday party for Wichita at the museum located in Wichita Kansas. And then I'm listing the size. That's the museum. I went by and you can see in the open sign there, and going into the building. I put the size of the pictures on each of the frames so you could see how big the picture was that I'm zooming in on for most of them, just to see how much detail I'm losing or not losing with each of the different sizes of the picture. Okay, you're noticing that I'm going from the smallest picture to then the medium size, and then the large picture in each of the frames as I move along through them. And so you'd think that the detail would get a little bit better with each picture or each example, the same frame. And you can read the letters and some of the words and just as easily on the small frame as you can on the large frame, so that when I zoom in, it doesn't seem to make it any easier to read the elements of the picture. And for the first part of it, you're seeing I'm basically just zooming in towards the center of the picture now. As I change my technique, and what I normally do with the ProShow is I like to pan more than I do zoom. I zoom in but a little bit, but I'd like to pan from left to right, and you'll see that I'll do that in a little bit, just so you can see how that affects the picture as well. Now, these pictures from the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum are just subject matter that I decided to use instead of people or just my family and stuff, which normally that's the only thing I take pictures of is people. There were a lot of people attending this birthday party, and I tried very hard to avoid getting anybody in the picture because I really was more interested in the elements of the picture itself than I was of the people or what was in it. So I tried to pick interesting subjects and things that would characterize my pictures overall later on, whether it's details in a dress or little objects or faces of different things or letters or words or whatever, because that's the idea, is that this would help me decide whether or not I could easily take smaller pictures with the camera and produce my slideshows instead of ending up with very large files with the pictures. So in the past, what I've done was take a different camera and use it, but it's so obvious that the Canon 5D Mark III is such an excellent camera that the pictures, even the small pictures, the S1 pictures, are very usable in the ProShow producer program in making my slideshows. And I am very convinced that now that I'll probably use the same camera and take a lot of the smaller pictures of family and friends and utilize that as well. These pictures of the like the mentholatum picture there, and now I'm moving into this like it's a bedroom with the chair and the statue on the side. I'm just zooming straight into that chair back, but I look at all the detail in the background as well. And in the smaller picture, as well as the medium and large, the detail is still quite good. On this dress, I didn't zoom in quite as much as I did on the dress before, which I went in so far that it was out of focus. But on this one, you can see that going in just a smaller amount, the dresses, all of them, were still in focus. Now, this picture of George Elias, and you can see his picture there and the letters and stuff, and you can, it's a little bit hard to make the words out. If you pause it or something, you might be able to make them out, but it's still quite good detail. This old bathtub in this bathroom from, I don't know, a long time ago. You can see the stuff on the dress of that. It would have been neat if I could have focused that mirror towards me, but just to see me in the little mirror there would have been interesting. But now you see me, I'm starting to pan from left to right, and I zoom in just enough that I get some space to pan in. This is a typical procedure I like to use with ProShow, in that with a room full of people, and I want everything to be basically in focus during my pan. I don't look for as much one thing in focus as having everything in the room in focus. That I'm going to put my show on this old organ, and with the statues on top of it, and then this dinner table. You can see the plates and the dishes and things quite well, even with the light from the window there. Doesn't distract it at all. With this is a 7.7 megabyte picture there, but if I wanted to enlarge one of these pictures, I definitely would choose the larger picture to enlarge. And normally when I give a copy of the slideshow to my family and friends, I give a copy of the pictures with them, and I would want to give them the larger picture in case they wanted to make an enlargement from it. Now, this old room with these chairs and things, it's just very simple, and there's not so much in the frame that they remain quite a bit smaller in some of the more detailed pictures. The large one is only 7.4 megabytes. And this old couch, 2.1 megabytes. You can see doesn't really change much as the picture gets larger. Moving through this room, and now this next picture is this old car. This is like an old garage where they brought this car into the museum, and it's very interesting. Lots of little details in these pictures that make it a little more interesting to look at. And again, the smaller pictures show just as much usable detail for my slideshow as the medium and the large pictures. These old Jones 6 was an automobile that was made in Wichita a long time ago, and you saw it sold for $995. You can see on that picture there. These old tools and wrenches and things up on the board, you can see in the background there, that very distinguished. You can see in the pictures as well, that moving on the other side of the vehicle there. The Stearman, and of course Wichita, Cessna was from Wichita, and Stearman is an old aircraft company that was in Wichita, which you probably haven't heard of, but you probably have heard of Cessna. So you can see the pictures through there, and Beechcraft, another aircraft company very familiar with most people, from Wichita, Kansas, and you can see through these pictures that the smaller picture just as good, usable probably as the medium or larger picture. Now, I don't know, if I was going to show this on a very large screen, I would probably want to use the larger picture, or I'd have to check that out to see. That'd probably give me a little more detail. This old guitar, electric guitar stuff there, you can see that, read that. I don't really pause it long enough for you to read. This glassware inside of a glass container there. These pictures are, the camera does an excellent job most time finding focus and making the picture even small and medium and large picture all equal. This old drug store here, you can see the countertop there, inside there, with all the different objects along the top of the counter there that on display. Now, I didn't zoom in so you could read the words and stuff on that thing. I don't know if it was that good or not, but you can see on these little things, the colds and burns medication, mentholatum stuff. That's from the man from Wichita, is the one that invented that mentholatum. And you can see more articles in that case as you just kind of glance through. And these old drug bottles, they're very small. It'd be hard to read them. I had a hard time reading them when I was real close to them without the camera. So, but anyway, you can see so much detail each of the bottles and things that on all the different sizes of the pictures. Now, this is inside the clock tower, and you can't go up those stairs. We did climb some stairs to get where we are now, and those old wooden stairs are not used for the public. They do go up there and run maintenance on the old clock in the clock tower, and I'll show that clock a little bit later. This old sign is hanging up in there. You can see where the new bricks are there, that there was a fire in the clock tower, and they did some restoration to it to make it usable and saved it as a structure. Now, I'll go back inside, back in the mechanics room, and take just a few more pictures, zooming straight in on these pictures, and you can see the detail in all of them are pretty much the same as far as what's usable. This next picture coming up, this is like the smallest picture, 2.6 megabytes inside that tire there. You can see that gas can there and all the detail around it. Pretty obvious that you can see the same thing and not much more detail from the larger picture, zooming in like that straight in. Now this one, the U.S. Royal picture there, the cement bag on the back, the bicycle, that old bicycle there with tires on it, and you can see all the spokes and everything is very clear as far as looking at the details of this picture. Now this is the outside of the building. That's the clock tower that we're inside to. We went up the ladders, go up to adjust the clock. These are all the same size picture, the last two, and that's the end of the show. Thank you for watching.